Welcome, Namaskar. Welcome to join us in this conversation with Dr. N. Bhaskara Rao on the series Rejuvenating the Republic Mission 2050. We are having series of conversations on different themes that we can understand better how and what rejuvenating the Republic means. Dr. N. Bhaskara Rao, an eminent scholar, author, researcher and social scientist who has been working on various themes of governance and development in our country since last 6 decades, has identified many themes on this title. In fact, in his book in 2021 of the same title, Rejuvenating the Republic, he talks about many issues and concerns that we need to look at to really revive our republic. For this series, we have identified key themes, 5 key themes. The first theme we talked about was villages, and we looked at the little republics. The second one was talking about we the people, and we spoke a lot and discussed it to understand how the electoral system in our country works and how the representation of people in the system is working or what needs to be done to enhance the same. The third one was on the role of civil society, and it was titled The Fifth Pillar, the Civil Society. This is the 4th episode of this series, and today we are talking a little bit more to understand the concept or the idea of the Republic. Let's start the discussion with Dr. Rao in understanding why is the concept of Republic important. I understand that most of us know and acknowledge that Republic is the identity of our nation in many ways when you say Republic of the country. But how is it relevant to a common person, and why is it important to understand what the concept of Republic is all about?
The idea of Republic is where we stand today. If you look at it, for 75 years, we have been celebrating annually 2 occasions. The August 15th as Independence Day and January 26th as Republic Day. But in addition to that, for the last 75 weeks, we have also been celebrating what is called Azadi Ka Mahotsav. It's a grand idea of the Prime Minister, certainly. But if you look at it, what it all made, what difference in terms of our awareness, our sensitivity about the responsibilities of the citizen and other pillars and the institutions as well of this concept of republic, that is the people's government of, by, for and of
the people of
the country. Because we have today, over these years, a lot of data is available from various sources, including from the government itself, of how these pillars, the institutions and various other components of the republic are functioning or not functioning. That data should enable us to assess what these celebrations are helping us. In addition to that, for example, we also celebrated day before on November 26th what is called the Constitution Day.
Yes.
Just to give you an example, the Chief Justice, of course this Constitution Day celebration is attended mostly by the judiciary, people involved with the judiciary. Public is not so much involved in it, or the other people are involved in it, including the political parties. But this Chief Justice of India has raised the issue of that, give a call actually, that citizens should not be scared of the judiciary. It's a very interesting call that the Chief Justice Chandrachud has given. What does it mean? It's a time to reflect, to retrospective view of these 75 or 73 years of the Republic. So that is what I am trying to do today. There are several, although not significant number in the country, people who doubt the relevance of the very republic, or in terms of the constitutional relevance. So we need to look at it from that. Now, from there, I will go into another aspect that 75 years we have been having two holidays, both the August 15th and January 26th. All schools are closed, the flag hoisting is taken place, and our leaders, the Prime Minister in Delhi from the Red Fort, and the Chief Ministers of the states from their headquarters,
And all
the
institutions.
headmasters or headmistresses,
Yes.
and the sarpanch in the panchayat level, all of them are doing something or other on that occasion, on those
Right.
2 days,
Yes.
to remind, they're supposed to be reminding what Independence Day in terms of duties, responsibilities, and rights implications are, and where we are and where we need to go from there. If you really look at it, from my own experience in the last 2 years, I've been spending in the village and attending these programs.
Okay.
At the panchayat level and in the schools more specifically, I have developed a certain viewpoint that not even the political leaders today understand what is the republic is all about. The children does not know what is the difference between the August 15th and January 26th. They know that's a holiday, but beyond that, there is not much sensitivity about the significance of these holidays, why we are having holiday, what do they expect it to do on these occasions. Now, from that, I have looked into the other pillars of the state. So that's when I wrote the Rejuvenating the Republic, because that I realized that something was missing
Okay.
in these celebrations, these holidays, and these occasions, because these occasions have become more for the leaders and the political people to talk about themselves, what they have achieved, not the nation, not we the people. But my party, my government has become the central focus of these occasions. As such, we have missed to give a broader perspective of how the idea of republic has come into being and how the constitution implications for on the part of every pillar, every citizen, rights, responsibilities, and how they need to work together. This inclusiveness has not come into the culture. That's my concern.
Yes, Dr. Rao, you do mention about inclusiveness. I think that's the prime reason or vision of the republic and the form of government that we have identified with today. And in your book, Rejuvenating the Republic, when you talk about rejuvenating the republic, are you implying that our republic is not as vibrant or not in the direction it seek to go towards of being inclusive, for example, of being just, of being liberty and promoting fraternity in our nation?
Yes, Dr. Vasanthi, I think what we lost the focus on the very basic fundamentals of our republic in terms of the new generation of, as I mentioned, the demographic shift being what it is, and the majority of the people being there, and we have forgotten, we means particularly the leaders of these various sections of the republic, they have forgotten that they need to inculcate this focus in the new generation of the country. I think that's why yes, we have lost a lot of time in this focus. So now we need to reorient the people that elections alone or voting alone is not the republic. The democracy is not merely that. The development, the opportunity to the people, and the governance, how the people are served, benefited, included, how they are inclusive development. This is what I call the trajectory of democracy development and governance. These three together constitute the republic. As if somebody is assessing, one could assess from any one of these point of view or from all these point of view. Today, as I mentioned earlier, we have basic fundamental basic data available to assess from all these point of view. But the point here is that we need to take this larger perspective of the trajectory. In fact, when in 1991, when the Singapore Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew came to India, official visit, at that time Singapore was emerging as one of the most desired country, and this leader was viewed as a most progressive leader. After an official visit to India, the Singapore Prime Minister said, what India needs is development, not democracy. He shocked many Indian leaders, including Manmohan Singh, then Finance Minister of India. And more recently, after 30 years, Prime Minister Modi, when he went to Houston in USA, he mentioned that India is the best example of how democracy and development are as a mantra working
together.
He made a wonderful statement, Modi. So that is one way of looking at how, but neither of them have referred to the governance. This country being so vast and divided
and diverse,
the governance is as important. That's why I say trajectory view of the republic is far more important today than ever before. So that's how I look at it. From that angle, if you really look at it, there are three perspectives stand out. One, a bulk of the people think that is glass half empty, that what we wanted to achieve by way of republic, we are not able to achieve, but we have not made a bad. We have achieved a great deal.
Yes, of course.
Despite so many problems that this country faced in the initial years.
Yes.
We have overcome all of them.
Many of them.
And we did a fantastic, but we have a long way to go. That's what is called glass half empty view of the republic.
Right.
So this has its own strategy to catch up with where we have
unserved
the thing. So the second perspective is what I call the work in progress.
Of course.
That is, we are still evolving. We are still finding ways and means of overcoming or achieving.
Or finding a system to serve.
Finding a system, for example, the way we conduct the elections. Every election that we are trying to do something, or every 5-year perspective plan, we are trying to catch up with something. So this is what work in progress. We are still evolving.
Right.
View of our republic.
A
third approach is very interesting. What I call the cynic view. These people, although it's a very minority, very small section of people, but they're there. You can't ignore them. They need to be taken into account.
Certainly.
Because this is an inclusive
concept.
The republic itself is an inclusive concept, idea. So that being the case, even a minority need to be taken seriously. So that being the case, these people think that the constitution requires redoing.
The cynics that you mean.
The cynic view is that. Now that is how this they think, because even today, 75 years after the republic or the independence, that 10 to 20% of the people are outside the trajectory, outside the development, outside the democracy, outside the governance.
That we are still talking about.
We are still talking about it. So this is not coming down as markedly or as significantly as one would expect after the 75 years. So that is what the issue or the dilemma the
That you
the
captured
sur-
in your
the-
book.
The what I talked in the book and and regeneration has to come from certain fundamental issues even today, and there are certain functional issues. Now, I talk firstly about the fundamental issues. Fundamental issues is that this pillar concept is a very good idea, but thinking about the three pillars,
Alone will not matter.
the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive alone is not enough. Today, the kind of the people being what in terms of education level, in terms of demographic scenario being what it is, and the way we have come forward, so we need to re-look at the very concept itself.
For the new India today and the India that we are visioning for the young nation that we are, how are the concept of republic implemented through these pillars, and how is it, first of all, can you please explain a little bit about the different new pillars that you're suggesting? I know you suggested the fifth pillar as the civil society, the fourth pillar, the media, and you're also suggesting a sixth pillar. So explain a little bit about how relevant these pillars are for the implementation of the concept of the republic in a complex nation and a young nation like ours.
Thank you, Dr. Vasanti. You have asked a very good question. Yes, as I mentioned, we now have a wealth of data, experience over these years, what these pillars or components of the republic have been doing. Now, based on that, you can come to certain conclusions. Number one is the political parties, although they are not referred at all in the constitution, they have become all dominating. Every aspect of the public life, public policies, the direction of the country are now dictated by the political parties and the political leaders. Now, as if there is no regulation as to their role, responsibility, rights. Although the election commission has a very insignificant role in that process. That's one aspect. Similarly, this civil society, despite the majority, the significant contribution that the civil society makes, that they have being undervalued or being humiliated and not given proper place in the governance of the country.
Okay.
So that being the case, I have come to the conclusion, based on my various studies over these several decades, that they need to be recognized as an important component of the larger phenomenon of this trajectory of the democracy, the development, and the governance. Okay. So, if you need to, that is the inclusiveness. We need to operate on the inclusive concept, not on the exclusiveness, which is what we are relying more and more. The governments are relying more and more. Now, that being the case, I have been saying for more than a decade, that the civil society need to be the fifth
pillar.
The media, the press, is already
the fourth pillar,
considered as the fourth pillar. Now the civil society need to be the fifth pillar.
Yes, we talked about this.
They have a huge responsibility, and many of them are doing a great job.
And they work in partnership.
Despite that, they are not being given. It has to be in a partnership context.
Right.
Now I have come to the conclusion that unless the political parties need to be brought into transparency regime that we are claiming, we can't really do anything else. Okay. They need to be brought under a more responsible, more accountable to the other pillars as well as the larger nation.
Right.
So how do we do that? Unless we bring them as a pillar. So I say the political parties should be viewed as the sixth pillar of the republic.
Okay.
And thereby we bring them under the transparency regime, which means RTI Act should apply to all these pillars.
Absolutely.
As in the case of the judiciary, legislature, and the executive. The same thing should be applied to the civil society, same thing should apply to the media, same thing should apply to the political parties.
Right.
But political parties have become dominating
That made
the national affairs, the direction of the country. So this need to be brought under we have checks and balance provision in the constitution.
right.
We have a beautiful concept. Our constitution makers have very good perspective of what could be. They have envisioned the kind of problems that this country is going to face.
Okay.
One of them is how these various pillars are going to be functioning, how they will be overlapping, stepping into each other's shoes, responsibilities. So they have provided for checks and balance. For example, the independent institutions like for example, the Election Commission. Election Commission is supposed to operate independently. The government is only supposed to provide them the support in terms of the finances, in terms of the kind of security, and that's it. How it functions is their responsibility.
Similarly,
the government or no other pillar can step into them.
Right.
Similarly, the Auditor General or the Reserve Bank of India,
Right.
or there are Law Commission, for example. They are supposed to operate independently.
Okay. And they are checking the pillars.
They are supposed to check. I'll give you an example. When the Prime Minister in the earlier decades takes the cabinet by a train to a faraway place from New Delhi, and the bill goes to the government exchequer, the Auditor General finds it a fault. No, you can't. This is a party expenditure. You can't put that in the government. Immediately the Prime Minister corrects himself. So this is how the checks and balance system supposed to operate. Now, if you start ignoring the checks and balance function, now we will not. There will be domination of one over the other. Now, the reason why the Chief Justice of India have made that statement on the November 26th, day before, is one of the reason is this, that he want to make sure that we function independently, transparently,
accountably.
So that call implies this. Similarly, I can say when N.T. Ramarao has become the Chief Minister, one of the first thing that he did was, when at that time, I'm talking about 40 years ago, the Naxalites were viewed as a outlaw people.
Okay.
They're not being viewed as a citizens or as a
outlaws. They're called outlaws.
Outlaw. So he gave a call that they are citizens of India and they need to be provided, they need to be heard, they need to be served. That statement have made a lot of difference. This inclusiveness
concept.
Now, how he changed the whole picture. Now, that is the kind of thing that these checks and balance
brings in,
changes how we function, the efficiency of the total republic.
Yes.
Now, that point that I made earlier of glass half empty, one way of catching up is this, that is, we make each of the pillar more efficient, or rather its outcome is more rewarding, more visible. That's one thing. Then there are other things which are ambiguous. In fact, Dr. Ambedkar is another visionary and he expected what he anticipated, what is going to come up. This contradiction in our certain ambiguity
in the working,
he anticipated.
Okay.
Now, for example, is it union government or a center? Now, again, I am referring to N.T. Ramarao because the second statement he made was there is no center. It is a union.
Yes.
Union of states.
Yes.
Now, if you don't understand as a part of this republic concept is that we work together.
Yes.
We the people.
Yes.
Based on that concept. Optimizing the potential of every section of the country, of the people, of the section of the various sections of the people. So, It is a union. Now, if you see what every political leader talks about the center, there is no center. It is a union. We all work together. That is not got into the culture. Day-to-day functioning of the way, including the government, ministers themselves. In the parliament, they say, we the center. When there is no center as such, it is the union. Now, similarly, as a result of that, now you see, day before yesterday again, the Chief Justice made the Supreme Court has given a judgment that the governors who are appointed by the union to the states are not supposed to hold the bills or the bills the government of the state sends to him. Now, if you see how they are functioning, because of this concept of inclusiveness and exclusiveness concept, that they hold the bills for months together and they refuse to accept the bills passed by the legislatures. Now, the Supreme Court has intervened only 48 hours ago. After many years of this dilemma, 4 states are involved. And who are those 4 states? They are a different party. Now, this is a very clear violation or departure of this concept of checks and balance idea. So, like this, there are certain ambiguities, contradictions in the understanding of this. Now, these celebrations and annual functions that we are doing of the Independence Day, Republic Day, and others, they are supposed to clarify these things to the public, so that we don't lose our focus. That is the idea of rejuvenating the Republic is possible only then.
Dr. Rao, you explained us about the 5 or 6 pillars that you have mentioned now, suggested now, of how the Republic concept is implemented in a democracy like ours. You also talked a little bit about the checks and balances that binds and holds accountable all the pillars and institutions and the working of the Republic. In your book, you talk a little bit more about what are the ways and means we can rejuvenate the Republic. In our conversation, we are talking about Mission 2050 and when we will be 100 years of being a Republic. What are your mantras or suggestions about making sure we reach that goal of inclusiveness and serving the people by the year 2050? So what are your mantras for rejuvenating the Republic by 2050?
Yes, Dr. Vasanthi, we need to refocus this union and the states' relationships. They need to be far better, far more cordial, so that they work together for the better of the country as a whole, rather than taking short-term view, provincial view of their responsibilities. This is the number one that is very important. The second, as I mentioned, they need to take the inclusive idea far more practical. They need to correct themselves. Yes, they need to correct themselves. This other view that they have been taking, particularly our leaders, political leaders, they need to come out of that dilemma. It is more lack of understanding of our political leaders of what the Republic is all about.
Unfortunately, yeah.
The third is in terms of bringing the political parties and the civil society and of course the media
making them more accountable.
into much more responsible
position
and of responsibility and right of their accountabilities.
Yes,
more accountable to the public and transparency.
Yes, of course.
That they are missing. Transparency is missing in the way these political parties function.
Now, even for the other 3.
Yes, other 3 also. And in fact, the Right to Information Act that we brought very proudly in this country by women like
Aruna Roy,
like Dr. Aruna Roy and others, that we have succumbed.
Lost,
It is being sidelined now, but that need to be revived. One of the way to regenerate the republic is to bring the Right to Information Act much more focus, much more vibrant. Similarly, all the pillars need to, when they conduct these annual occasions, the celebrations, the festivals, in a festival mode, they need to be lot more sensitize the people, because they are new sections of the demographic people.
Citizens.
They are born more recently. They are
Younger generation.
They are much younger to understand. They don't know what process we have gone through to arrive at this republic or arrive at this constitution. So that understanding need to be brought in the school children in particular. Our school curriculum does not have citizenship. What citizenship is all about is not so well
defined, explained
and demonstrated. So, and that's why you see that we have this problem of rights and responsibilities and accountabilities not being realized. So, the independent institutions that we have in this country, which have come constitutionally provided, Election Commission, the Reserve Bank, the Auditor General, and many such organizations, they need to be ensured they operate as independent. They need to be working within this checks and balance, and they are empowered to operate under the checks and balance system, to question, to ask, and so that these pillars don't step into each other's accountable responsibilities. So these are some of the things that we need to regenerate the republic, do minimum things that I'm talking about. I have in my other book, Good Governance, a few years ago, I don't know when it was written, but more than a decade ago, I have illustrated that what under each of these things that we need to do more practically. What I talked is the fundamentals. What I talked in a conversation with you, Dr. Vasanthi, is fundamental changes needed for regenerating. But in the operational, at the local level, I have referred in this book. In this book, the Rejuvenating the Republic, I talked about the basic elements missing and that we need to correct ourselves. And that's what Suresh Prabhu in his introduction, in his foreword, very correctly said about this aspect. He brought up very well. So I think this is a very important, before we become 100 years, this mission 2050, we need to address these issues. Only then it becomes a mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, for really explaining the concept of the Republic, how we envisaged it, how we developed it, and how we implemented it, and how the different pillars work, both in cooperating with each other, in harmony with each other, yet independently, accountably, and in transparent way, and also the institutions that are in place for ensuring that the checks and balances of each pillar, both their powers, their duties, and their responsibilities, work in tandem, so that the vision of inclusive India, the vision to assuring justice, equality, liberty, and promoting fraternity to all citizens is ensured in our nation as a republic. The republic also means that we, the people who are electing our governments, our representations, are also participating in this. So I'm glad that you really brought out what the Constitution has envisaged in terms of the duties, the responsibilities, and the rights of all components, of all stakeholders in a republic. With this, we come to the end of the 4th edition. Do join us in the final discussion that we will have on the 5th theme that Dr. Rao has identified in the series Rejuvenating in the Republic, Mission 2050. Thank you.